Hi everyone. I love when I hit like the record button and then I'm like, wait, what should I be talking about today? I'm in a very inspirational mood today. I today had an event for the Paving the Path to Wellness program, which is sponsored through Mass General Hospital. So part of what I'm talking about today is very like region specific, I guess, if you live in the Boston area at all. And what resources there are that I know of in order to get some help with support through this whole process. And not hating the color pink, which is why I put my hat on, because it's pink. I have a brown one too, but for the point of why I wanted to do today's vlog, I chose pink. I should be doing work right now, and I feel like I just need to take some time to share what I know about resources and about respecting your own timeline through this whole process. So my first oncologist, I switched to someone new relatively recently. She started this program through Mass General Hospital called Paving the Path to Wellness. If you go to Newton Wellesley Hospital in particular, but I'm sure they're at other MGH locations, there's usually posters in doctors' offices and things that talk about the paving program. Which the program itself, I was on a waiting list to get in actually. My oncologist was the one who created it, so I thought like I'd be able to get in super quick, but unfortunately breast cancer is as common as it is. And there's a lot of people that are diagnosed. So, yeah, the waiting list was long, and it took, I don't think I did the program until like a year and a half after I was diagnosed. So, when you're first diagnosed, obviously there's like, joining a support group, at least for me, was not top priority. Top priority was like, learning all these vocabulary terms that they're telling me that I have, and what do you do now? The very first priority for me was having my double mastectomy, and then like after that happened, then there was tamoxifen and Lupron and Zometa, and then all the side effects from all of those things. And at this point, I'm almost 3 years out at this point, so the dust has settled a bit. And I'm no longer on the Lupron. I have one Zometa left, and the tamoxifen, I'm not even sure how long I'm on that for, but I feel like that's just a long-term thing for many, many women who have gone through hormone-positive breast cancer. So I wasn't thinking about anything about, I want to talk to other people that have gone through this. I kind of kept in my own bubble of who I know personally that went through this, and some of those people were very open in sharing with me, and others wanted to keep their journeys private. And what's interesting is when you're diagnosed, you would think like breast cancer is breast cancer, but there are so many different kinds, whether it's in the ducts or outside of the ducts, or how far is it spread? Is it in your lymph nodes? Is it not in your lymph nodes? Is it hormone positive? Are you HER2 positive or negative? Are you triple negative? There are all these things that are just like thrown at you. So like the journeys are not the same for everyone, even though you think someone gets cancer, then someone has chemo, and that's just how things are. I did not need chemo or radiation. My tumors were, like over 95% hormone positive for all of them. Like there's 100, that's not what I meant. What did I have? 3? I can't even remember. Oh my God, I guess that's good I can't remember. Anyhow, once I had my surgery, I was diagnosed in July, again, almost 3 years ago. And then I had my double mastectomy in August, and then started the meds. I feel like that was like September, October, or October, November, then January. And then you're dealing with side effects from all the medications and trying to sort that all out. So once the dust settles, it's warm out. I'm taking the hat off. I did wear pink, I wore pink. but I'm hot, and it's warm outside for the first time in like, I feel like it's officially spring, but I'm sweating and my AC hasn't fully kicked on yet. So my oncologist thought things were settling down sooner than I felt like things were settling down. And she mentioned the paving program, but again, I was on a waiting list, and then there was some snafu with me getting put in the program, which I feel like, looking back at it now, was probably good timing, because that kind of course I wasn't quite ready for at that point. So I'm throwing these things out there for those of you that are local to the area, and I'm sure that there's similar things like in other hospitals. It's a matter of like asking, because I feel like a lot of stuff that we learn through this is through word of mouth, through videos, not necessarily a doctor telling you, here's all the resources for you. So I first started off with, because I couldn't get into paving because it was full, I did a course called SMART, Strength Management and Resilience Training. And that was through the Benson Henry Institute, which again is a Boston-based program. I'll name drop here. The person that ran the SMART program for my group was Daniel Hall, who's fantastic. When I first went on this is all during the pandemic, mind you, too. I was diagnosed in July of 2021, so nothing was in person. So we were on Zooms, and the SMART program basically gave you strategies, and you might have had these before, but when everything is going on right away, it's just hard to remember. Strategies to handle the stress of all this stuff happening, and resilience training on, I feel like my a lot of my adulthood has been resilience training, but there's a lot of modalities that they give you, so that way if you get some blood work that doesn't make you super happy, or something pops up, or the crazy of this whole cycle and journey, it gives you a bag of tricks, or a bigger bag of tricks of things to do. They also give you a workbook, which is like yay thick. It's pretty thick, but I've had it by my side throughout a lot. I had to actually get a new one because it was out on my dresser when my apartment was flooding, so it got a little bit waterlogged, and I need to have them send me another one. But when you're going through something, like all of a sudden something pops up and your numbers are high, or whatever is going on, it's hard to remember at the time, okay, what can I do to slow things down? Like, yes, meditate. It's hard to just like get in the mode and do that, or even remember how to meditate, or what to meditate to, or whatever. So the great thing about having that workbook is you just like literally open it up and like just pick something, and it gives you step by step. They'll give you guided meditations that you can say to yourself. You can record yourself and then like get in the zone and listen to yourself say things. It's a great program. What I like too about the actual Zoom when they were doing the program is that he would actually lead us through meditations or breathing exercises or whatever it was in the Zoom, and not just talk about it. We were actually like doing it. So I enjoyed that course very much. Again, it was through Zoom because of the pandemic, so I never met any of the people that were in that group. I might have come across them since then with different organizations that I've been part of more recently, but I don't even know if I'd remember at this point. Sometimes faces look familiar, and I'm like, I can't peg what breast cancer-y thing I recognize this person from, and that's fine. So that's through the Benson Henry Institute, and I feel like they do other things too. And that was for any cancer survivor. It wasn't necessarily a breast cancer thing. There were people on the Zoom that had varieties of types of cancer, so it wasn't, again, just breast cancer. So I started off doing that, and then got into the paving program. Now, it used to be one per season, like there was a spring one and there was a fall one, maybe there was a summer one. Now it's become so popular, again, kind of sad that it has, yet good that it has at the same time, because that means a lot, more people were diagnosed, but they're offering, from my understanding, like 3 different times during a 12-week period of when they're doing it. Like some are in the day, some are at nighttime for people that are working outside the home during the day. So you can, have it available for more people. So the Paving the Path to Wellness program, also for me, was through Zoom because things were not open yet at that point. And my oncologist, again, was running it, and there was a group of other people that popped in on it too. There was... Actually, I don't think my oncologist was the one who ran my paving class. I think it was Dr. Eisenstadt who ran... Yes, she was the one who ran our class. I'm not even quite sure where she's an oncologist. I thought she was wonderful. She's got a very warm way about her, about the way that she speaks. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter. But the way the modality for paving works in the program, from my experience, is it's more like a like webinar-y, like PowerPoint slides of like one time they did a cooking demo and someone who's a nutritionist came on, or there were guest people that came on with their specialties of what they were talking about. There was probably like a mental health therapy kind of person that was there too. But I remember there just being a lot of like, let's share your screen and their slides, which for me, I'm a people person and I would rather like have it be more about the people than having to like keep track of slides. I felt like I was almost in like cancer school, which is good to know these things, but it just became, I don't know. What I loved about paving was not necessarily the actual paving program, which sounds awful. I'm just being real. Like I have on my computer, I took the paving program probably like a year and a half ago, and I have tabs open on my computer that had been open for like a really long time. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll come back and I'll read those. Most of them are about like recipes and websites about nutrition and food and how that impacts people with hormone positive breast cancer. But the tabs have been open for a very long time, to the point like on my phone where like they've now separated themselves into an inactive website group because I haven't gone on them. You can only do so much, So, I pulled certain things from there. What I liked about that group in comparison to the SMART program, when the SMART program was done, the participants, some of them said, like in the group chat that the chat of the Zoom, that they wanted to, stay in touch with other people as a support group. But then that kind of withered away and no one was like in charge of making sure that happened. So I didn't really vibe with the people that were on the Zoom because it's a Zoom, you're not seeing them in person, and there really was no way of like having that support once the program was done. With paving, it's like the opposite way, where I wasn't super inspired by the content that was going on. I just felt like it was more things to do. Again, that was early on in the paving program. Like it just started in 2019, so they could have tweaked it since then. But what I liked about the paving program is when it was done, Hannah, who's leaving now, but she, I think it was her, somebody brought up about, can we keep in touch with each other after our last Zoom is over? Like, we don't want to lose these people. And paving is specifically for breast cancer patients, sort of whatever you want to call us. I hate being called a patient because I'm not a patient right now in my apartment. So I went to a diner and I'm like looking at like, I got these blueberry pancakes and like turkey sausage and like breakfast potatoes. I couldn't eat all of it. There's a really good diner in Watertown. I'll get to that too. A lot of plugging for today with my experiences, but I want to share so that you're not alone and have some resources. So anyway, one person said, can we reach out to each other afterwards? So I guess there's rules about how to do that too, because you can't, it's 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 based through a hospital, so there's protocol as to like sharing information and stuff outside of that one group. So there's an email that was sent out later, anyone that wants to stay connected, put your email here. So I'm glad that they did that. And for me, that was the biggest thing I pulled out of it, was like having those people then, that it's like outside of your, scheduled Zoom time, we can actually still do something. So we were supposed to do this like buddy system for, at the time it was like people wanted to be held accountable for like exercising or doing the recipes that they were talking about. But people just weren't having a lot of integrity around all of it with their word of keeping up with each other. And then that kind of just like fizzled away. We have been doing a Zoom every 2 weeks, just as a check-in for, what is it, like an hour and a half or something? Again, once every 2 weeks. And it was open to anyone that was on that email chain, but for the most part, there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 people that routinely are the ones that come on. And that's really worked well. After my Zometa treatment in January, when I was like in this weird funk and I didn't understand why, it was that crew of people that got it because they've been through this and were encouraging me to, reach out to the doctors, get help. Even through all this stuff, you do have to advocate for yourself so much. They think that like, once the major, you're healed from surgery and no more Luprons, and then like, boom, you're healed, go out in society and like do what you did before. But that's just not practical, and that's really not how life works after all this crazy. So they were the ones who were like validating for me that like, these are things going on for you, and like, you're not acting like yourself. And it turned out that that was because of residual stuff from the Lupron. But the point was, they gave me the courage to actually go out there and really advocate for myself to get help and to be heard. So, yeah. So, and then we also started a text group chat. Again, if there's something that pops up for any of us, like, we're there for each other, whether it's about cancer or not. Most of the time, obviously, well, I shouldn't say most of the time. I don't know, 50-50. It's about that. But it's people that understand like what you're going through. It's not like we talk all doom and gloom. If anything, like, people are on vacations and stuff, or, we just talk about a lot of everything. And if something's going on for one of us, like, we'll all talk about it. And what I love about that group, my group in particular, I don't know if they're all that way for people that have stayed connected, is that they follow up. It's not like you just bring up something and then people disappear. There is a lot of integrity in that group. And that, if you say that you're going to be on the Zoom, we don't want you to be on a Zoom by yourself. Like, we need to communicate as to who's going to be on. And if you say, people will go in to have a surgery or another surgery done, or, get their implants switched or their expanders switched out to implants or something. And we follow up with each other on that. And that's just so important. So that's the biggest thing that I've gotten out of the paving program is that group of women. And our ages vary, our stories vary. And I'm grateful that I have that group. Granted, it took me a while before I was ready to be part of that group. Because in the beginning, I'm like, I don't like pink. I don't want to be part of this pink group. I don't want to be part of the club. I get that I am, but I don't want to be. So I don't want to talk about cancer all the time. I don't want to be around these people. Blah. And that's where I was for a while. And that's okay. When the time was right, that was when I ventured into other waters. So that's the SMART program, and that's paving. And now, like today's event for paving, there was I assume she's a yoga teacher. It was at a yoga studio. and they were doing restorative yoga. Interesting thing is, last time I tried to do restorative yoga at Canyon Ranch, I had a very tough time because I was very stiff. What I like about the paving stuff, when they do stuff outside of like the 12-week sessions, they'll have activities. Like we went for a nature walk in the fall. They have, today they had yoga. But everyone that's there is a breast cancer survivor, and they get it. If you start like hot flashing hardcore, you're probably not the only one, if you're achy and sore and your joints hurt, you're probably not the only one. And there's this common thread of like getting each other that's just so, so important. There's a woman I met there today who, she was just diagnosed 4 months ago. And I'm like, kudos to you, because 4 months after I was diagnosed, I wasn't ready to be surrounded by all this pink and all these, people going through all this stuff. Like, you want the support, and, do you want to sign the big pink book of members that now, you belong to the pink group, and you can't ever take that away because, this is what it is. So, they had a restorative yoga class today, it was just lovely. And I could do all the things that I wasn't necessarily able to do. It wasn't even a year ago. I feel like it was the fall. Like, it makes me proud of myself when I realized that, like, in the fall, I couldn't move the way they were, and it's restorative. I'm not talking like hardcore Pilates or something. But even to be able to stretch in certain ways, I wasn't able to do that in the fall. And I mean, I've had some changes, I guess, getting off the Lupron. I don't know what magic it is. I've been more active. I don't know what it is, but today was just lovely. One of the, I remember when I did the restorative yoga at Canyon Ranch, she had us like on a bolster, just like doing child's pose or something that's supposed to be relaxing. And I remember, like, I was just so tight, like my tendons and my joints, everything was just so tight and uncomfortable. And I was having like foot cramps randomly back then. And now maybe I'm just like super chiller about stuff. I don't know. I could feel a cramp coming on today in my foot, and then like I just breathed into it and it went away, and I was able to stay in these positions and do all the things that everybody else was doing. So that was exciting. That was nice. And like when she says she's like, you're gonna need 3 blankets, and a lot of them were for propping yourself up and stuff. But one of them was to cover yourself with, and I'm like, like it's hot outside. So I'm like, I can't imagine putting a blanket on myself because like hot flash central, And it was okay, because the woman next to me was having them too. So there are those kinds of activities. They do a 5K. I don't know if I never did 5Ks even like before all this stuff happened. But the woman that was running it said, it's not even about the 5K. Like, you could just go to her house and be there for the potluck. And if you don't bring food to the potluck, that's fine too. So it's a group of people that just understand, and they get it. And you could just like be you, and whatever comes up for you, if you're achy or you're stiff or you're hot flashing or you don't have hair because you're in the middle of chemo, whatever it is, we get it. Even if it's not the same kind of story, like, we get it. I remember I had a hat, I don't know what happened to it. I had a white hat from paving, because they did a thing in Boston last year, with like walking. It was probably a 5K or something, but I didn't want to just like I didn't think I could walk a 5K. Certainly couldn't run a 5K. And they said you can move in any way you want to. Oh, that was the hat. Paving is a movement, because it's not about like walking or running. It's just like moving in general. So I asked if I can kayak and do the 5K with a kayak. And I vlogged about that I assume it was last summer, because I was wearing the white hat with the letters on it. And look at my hair, whatever. And I kayaked like 5K, and that was my way of, getting back. So that's paving. And like I said, there's more programs now. It's not just like it's one time. So I imagine there's not like the waiting list like there was when I first started with them. And it was just a nice group. Like, I don't know. The irony is when I was talking about the breakfast potato, it's almost a breast, the breast miss potatoes, the breakfast potatoes. There was a diner across the street from the yoga studio. And the yoga studio is in Watertown, by the way. And the diner, it looks like an old train car. When I first moved to Massachusetts, which was about 14 years ago, a friend of mine, she told me, I think her brother-in-law actually lived in Watertown, and said that there was this diner that has like really great pancakes. Like there's something special with their pancakes. It turns out they put sour cream in their pancakes, which sounds gross, but they're so good. They're probably the best pancakes I've ever had, like ever. And I'm not really a big pancake kind of person. But yeah, they put sour cream in the pancakes, and it doesn't taste, it just gives it something different with the consistency. So good. And then like the breakfast potatoes, and then I got turkey bacon, and toast. And I brought an orange back because they had some snacks at the yoga place too. So I have an orange so I can have some fruit. But anyhow, I just thought it was interesting that I remember trying to find that diner. And at the time it was a chain of diners. Like there was that one, there was one in Newton. That was my favorite breakfast place to go. There was one in Newton Center, that was right off the Green Line. And it was in an old train station. So I feel like it was called the Deluxe Station Diner because it was in the station, in the train station. But it had like the decorations on the inside was like so super cool. Like it was just a really neat place to be, and the food was really, really good. And they changed owners or something during COVID, and then they unfortunately shut down. I don't even know what it is right now. And I was sad because I'm like, I love those pancakes, and I thought that was the end of the sour cream pancakes. And then today, not even intentionally, I park my car and I walk, and I'm like, you know, you don't just see a random railway car with people eating in front of it often. And I'm like, there is the diner. So when yoga was over, I went in there and I got blueberry pancakes and breakfast potatoes and turkey bacon. And I ate some, not all of it. And then, yeah, it was really, really, really good. On a side note, I am down 11 pounds as of this morning. Maybe not so much after the pancakes, but I'm down 11 pounds. So that's exciting. I had a stomach bug, which impacted that a little bit. Well, more than a little bit. But that's been over now for like a week or so. So, all right, so that's paving. So there are different events. And I know I've talked about Runway a lot. Runway for Recovery, that's the hat I had, R4R. One of my friends, when I was first diagnosed, she was the first person I thought of because she's been very open about her journey. And I was a deer in headlights, and I reached out to her like for help over several things. And she knew that I was like that I'm an outgoing person. And she mentioned Runway. Now I had, again, my diagnosis was in July, and then my surgery was the end of August. The Runway show is the end of October. So August, September, October, that's like 2 months. And she asked if I wanted to walk in the Runway show that year in 2021 after I, had my surgery and all that. And I just wasn't ready for it at all. And that's a huge thing with what I'm trying to share. I'm trying to inform you of like what resources are out there, but you have to trust your own timeline as to when you're ready to be around all of it. Some people in the beginning are just like, I want to be around everyone that I can to support me. I want to wear big pink pom-pom earrings. I was not one of those people at all. I got my helix pierced, and I'm like, keep me away from humans. But that's not me. And I wasn't going to let this diagnosis change that part of me, though it did for some time. But that time is over, and I feel so much more back to the extrovertedness that I was before. I'm just a very naturally curious person. Anyway, So I didn't do runway that year, but the following year, I'm like, I'm totally ready. And I did runway in 2022, and then I did it again in 2023. You can watch I feel like I put them on the YouTube page. If not, they're definitely on the Facebook page. And that's just like, that's just amazing energy, the runway show. I won't go super much into it because I've done vlogs on that before, so you can rewind and look back. The one in 2022, I remember the backdrop. I stayed overnight at the hotel where they were having it. So I was wearing a white sweatshirt that said runway over the front. And then the one from last year, my kids walked with me. But anyway, you could see the actual walk. That I know I put up as a separate reel. And I feel like I might have put that on the YouTube channel. I probably did. I don't know. If not, you can find it on the Facebook page. Same name, Invasive Ductal Curse What. But runway is not just about that event. I mean, yes, that's their like biggest fundraiser and stuff, but I've shared about the weekend that we had, the little spa getaway thing that turned into a Newburyport weekend. And they have events all the time. And now that I'm like physically, getting back to not exactly where I was, but being able to do physical things like at the gym or whatever to get moving again and get my body somewhat back to what I used to know it as. So they have activities like dance classes or bar classes, BARE classes. And they have like an event where there's one in Concord, Massachusetts coming up, where they just kind of like shut down, I think, the main part of Main Street, and it might be like a sip and shop thing, kind of, where you go to different shops, buy whatever, and like a certain percent of that or proceeds that go to Runway for Recovery. And I feel like they do that in Newburyport too. But the point is, there's something going on all the time. And overall, with all of these programs, programs, it's one of the very, very few places where you can go there, not know anyone that's there, and it's not cliquey, and you don't feel alone at all. Because you'll even like overhear a conversation and someone mentions tamoxifen or someone mentions Lupron, then you like shimmy your way over there because I was I'm still on the tamoxifen, but I was on the Lupron too. And people learn from each other's stories and from sharing what they've been through. So, and even if not, like I remember just taking my shoes off and the woman next to me, we had name tags on, the woman next to me told me her name. And we just start like chatting. It's very easy to start the conversation as to like, oh, when were you diagnosed? Oh, when did you do the paving program? You have these things in common that, of course, you don't want to have in common because like who wants to go through all this crap? But that's what life is for some of us. And we're not the only ones. And to have that community is just really, really important. At the same time, be kind to yourself as to when you're ready or not ready. If you push yourself to do too much, it's just too much. Like you'll know when you're ready to have the help, to be able to share. Obviously I started the vlogging like from day one, but it's just like me and you here with my phone and a tripod and me sharing. It's different when you're in a room with like 30 people that are all breast cancer survivors. And it's not, you might have a little butterflies going in, especially if you're not like a super social person, but it goes away pretty quickly because there's always something to talk about because you have that in common. So I just wanted to, do a relatively short vlog. I always say that, and it's like 35 minutes later. Just to, tell you that there are resources, there are things out there. I feel like I didn't do a vlog from there, but there's this, the Healing Garden which is in MGH in Boston. Like, I just saw what that was for the first time, like last month or something, and walked through. There are other things that are out there. There's a Live Strong program, which is a workout program through the Y. I'm pretty sure it's free, or it's significantly reduced if it's not free. There are so many things out there, and you don't have to look at them all. You just peruse whatever's going on, and whatever floats your boat for the time, like, that's where you are, and take from it what you can at your own pace. So I'm happy I was able to do all the yoga-y things, and then I've lost some weight. Like, my arms, I don't necessarily hate, at least not today. Look at that jiggly. But I could do the jiggly, but I could also do this. And there's, I don't know if you can see that, but I can feel it. I also have tennis elbow right now, but that has nothing to do with cancer. That's just because I hit the ball at the wrong angle with my tennis racket. Anyhow, yeah, but I'm excited with, like, my toned arm. Look at that. My toned arms that I didn't have before. And, like, getting back to, to myself and not hating my body, at least not today. I mean, I don't know. I can go like that for you to be able to see that, like, my love handles are significantly reduced today. And that makes me happy. It's not just about weight. It's about, like, being healthy and recognizing your body a little bit more than what it used to look like. Yeah. So there's resources out there. Just ask. And what I would say too is, as you're watching this, whether you're local or not, if you know of other programs that I didn't mention, feel free to put them down in the comments to let other people know. And that's a huge reason why I'm doing these vlogs or the reason I'm doing these vlogs is to share this information so that you're not alone. Like, no one should be alone through this process at all. And there are people that get up and disappear and make you feel like you're even more alone. But you're not. Because if there's people that disappear, there's also people that come into your life that may not have been who you expected to come into your life, but they're there to support you. And if you don't have that support, my point is there's ways of getting that support. So you can, again, put ideas or things that you know in the comments below. Again, I'm always, the messages that I get from people, I'm always very thankful to make that connection with people that are watching. It means the world to me that I can be of help to anybody that's going through all this stuff, especially now that I'm, like, pretty far out from it, and there's, like, a light at the end of the tunnel that I can clearly see at this point. I don't want anyone else to be a deer in the headlights like I was. So yeah, anything that I could do to share or whatever, and us all share will just make life easier for anyone else that's been newly diagnosed. All right, everyone, I'm gonna have a couple more breakfast potatoes and then get to work. All right, see you soon. Bye.